Hi, it's me, Gizma, here with Studio Inspiration Art Journal, and today is the first live stream on my Thursday traditional in-person art class, which was taught at the Artist Loft Studio, which is currently temporarily, uh, of course, closed due to our worldwide situation. So I'm staying at home and saving lives, potentially, right? But I'm enjoying the self-sanctuary immensely by doing projects that I've been wanting to do, finishing up projects, cleaning out my studio, and just having a great time connecting with people and doing these live streams. So, as you know, I went over a few items to bring. Today is going to be called Primary Magic Day. That's it, Primary Magic Day. So we're only working with 3 colors of paint, and I'm going to start off by giving you a color theory class, just a small demonstration with it, because most of us, if we were not uh, officially, properly, formally trained in art, we maybe don't have some of this information, and it's always good to have basic information. It will increase your choices with regards to when you do choose to paint. So because I am an intentional creativity teacher and training with the color of woman, I begin every session these days with the red thread connection. And the red thread connection is very simple. It just is connecting us up through this quantum field that we have, so that we may be isolated, but we truly are not alone. We are together. We can touch each other by moving into that connectedness. So what I'd like us to do is just take a moment to take a nice cleansing breath and exhale it. Let go of all the stress and tension and all the fear and all the worry and all the anxiety rushing around the earth plane right now. Cleanse and clear your energy field around you. Release the tension and stress you might be feeling within you. And just open right now. Open to the intention that every stroke you do today, you will be doing it for health in your life and as a prayer of health for those in your life and the people you are closest to, as well as to all peoples on this planet. So let's breathe that into our heart and ground it into us. Imagine that as you exhale, that intention goes all the way through your body, down out the soles of your feet and into Mother Earth beneath us. And our intention and our energy spreads quickly throughout the entire earth body. And every person who is upon that earth body will gently breathe up that health intention into their quantum field and feel the delight of it if they are open and receptive to it. All right, let's take a gentle breath in, and I'm going to pass you the red thread. Go ahead and take it, imagine, sense, visualize, or perceive that you're receiving the red thread, and then just give a tug on it to feel the tension and also the connectedness of me with you, and you with me, and you with all people who watch this around the world. And it is good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Today we're working with an art journal or an 11 by 15 piece of paper, watercolor paper, or whatever type of paper you might have. If you don't have this, then please know that any type of blank paper is good to use. Whatever you have in your home is perfect. You can work with that, or you can work in it in your art journal. I'm choosing to work in an art journal that's devoted to a certain style of painting, which we will get to in a little bit. So all I'm going to do is open up to a blank page, and as you can see, there are many blank pages in this journal because it's a new one that I created, excuse me, that I've created just for some of my work right now. My joy in sharing this with you just goes on and on and on. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I only brought out a color wheel just to kind of explain a few things to you. We're working with primary colors. So primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. All right. And originally, these were the only three colors that could be found in nature or came from nature. Red paint comes from red ochre. The pigments come from red ochre. Yellow paint comes from a mineral called bendhamite, and it is extremely toxic though, and most of our yellow paints today are a mixture of modern pigments, so synthetic. And then of course our blue paint comes from um, originally came from minerals like lapis lazuli, cobalt, azurite, and most most of them today, of course, are also coming to us from a synthetic source. Our chemists know how to mix those lovely colors. So that's what we're working with, the primary colors. And any primary color that you choose, that you shade or hue that you choose to work with is fine. So here's my blue, here's my red, and here's my yellow. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be demonstrating how you create secondary colors out of the primary colors. But first, I'm just going to use a paper plate for this, okay? Because it's just easiest and lightest to hold right now. And I'm not at my actual painting station in my studio here. And so what it's forcing me to do just a little bit is work with things I might not normally work with. I try to not use paper products. I usually work right in the journal page. I put my paint right down onto a journal page. Okay, so all I've done is put dots of the colors. And I'm going to just work with a round brush for this because there's no need to worry about it. But I do want to keep them pure, so I have 3 round brushes. And all I'm going to do is take one of the colors and put it right here on the page so you see it nice and clear. Yellow, right? That's yellow. And here is our red. You doing this in your art journal, just the way I'm doing it actually, is going to result in something fun. So don't forget to use your art journal for when you're exploring and experimenting. And then here is our blue. Now, the primary colors, when mixed, create what? They create a secondary color. So what I'm going to do is into the yellow, I'm going to add some blue. And you can see instantly it begins to turn to a green. And the more yellow you add to the mixture, the lighter green the color becomes. So you can see that, right? So yellow and blue make green, yeah? Now, when you take your red and you add your red to your blue, it makes a purple color. And of course, the more blue you add can change it into another color or another shade of that combination. So all I'm doing is adding another layer of blue to the red to give us a secondary color of purple. And the last color combination that we're going to work with the red, I'm going to get it just a little wet here. Oops, see what I did? I just smeared it. I'm going to just brush that off. I'm going to wipe it off. See how when you wipe wet acrylic paint, it comes off pretty easily. So all we're going to do is take the yellow brush, which is all nice and dirty now. I'm going to just give it a quick wipe. So all I'm going to do is take some yellow, some more yellow, and I'm going to add it on top of that so that we see that yellow and red create an orange. Okay? The more yellow you give the red, the brighter it is, and the more red, the darker it is. So, all right? So those are your secondary colors. Blue and yellow create green. Blue and red create a purple. And red and yellow create orange. All right, so that's important to know how to get your secondary, what's called your secondary colors. Now, one thing I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to use one brush because it really doesn't matter, is when you mix all three of your primaries together, like I'm doing right here, you get a neutral. It goes into a bit of a brown, what's called mud. That's a color too, that's a shade too. Okay? All right. So our primary colors work together very well. And we can also take our secondary colors, and I just pulled out some secondary colors already pre-mixed to show you also that when you have your secondary colors of green, orange, and purple, and you mix those together, right? So we're going to just put them over on this side of the page. So I'm going to put an orange here. And we take a green, and then we take a purple. And there's some purple. Let's add some green to it. The lightest color, you always have to add more. You can see that you're now creating another color. And if we were to take the orange, and add to that, we're getting what's called another neutral color. So when we're choosing to paint on a canvas, then we want to be aware of when we use a primary with a primary or a secondary with a secondary, because often we will get some form of neutral. So this is a brown over on this side, or what's called a mud, and over here we've got a darker mossy brown, and when that dries you'll see how it transforms often also. So this becomes a fun exploration to do this, to actually do this in your art journal or on a piece of paper. I'm going to show you one other thing because I think it's pretty fun and worth doing. Let me get another brush. I'm going through brushes like crazy today. Right here, all I'm going to do is put my primary colors, and I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about shadows. And shadows usually can be worked with washes, or they can be worked with liquid paints. Today I'm using the Ecoline blend of liquid paint, liquid acrylic, or you can use a liquid ink, okay? So let me just get some more primary out here. My red, my blue, if I can get it. This tube is almost, I'm using Amsterdam. You can use any paint that you have. It doesn't have to be a name brand. And when I'm doing explorative stuff like this, I personally choose not to use the top of the line paints because I'm exploring them and having a little bit of fun with them. So it's not that I'm worried about wasting the paint, but it just helps me feel comfortable in exploring. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I am going to put a line of yellow, and then I'm going to put a line of red again, and then I'm going to put, oops, a line of blue, and over on this side I'm going to again put the primary colors, okay, that go with it. So let me just get my brushes wiped off real quick. In my jar of water. Okay. I hope you're enjoying your self-sanctuary time though, and not locking too much into fear, but actually using your time to create and read. Oh, by the way, I think you'll have seen on my uh, Facebook page that I did post my favorite novel that I wrote, the love story of Teardrop and the Hound. It's on Amazon, and if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for free to read it. So I'm sharing that with you also at this time. All right, so what we're going to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and buy our yellow. Uh, I'm going to put the green color, all right? I'm sorry. I just went blank. Let me think for a minute. Oh, yes. Okay. By my yellow, I'm going to put the secondary purple color, okay? And yellow is what's called a warm color, and purple is called a cool color. So we're just going to put those like this. Okay? By the red, which is a warm color, I'm going to put green, which is a cool color. And I need just a little more green. There we go. Of course, I can blend it. I can blend green with what? Yellow and blue. Now, what I'm setting up here for you is called complementary. Complementary colors. So that means on the color wheel, these two colors are opposite of one another. These two opposite of one another. And the last one, of course, is the blue and the orange. So we've got complementary colors now. And complementary colors also can create a nice little neutral color when you mix them together. Okay, so here we go. Complementary, 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 primary, secondary. Okay, all I'm going to do, plug your ears, because I'm just going to take my blowgun, my dryer, and I'm going to just dry these real quick. Acrylic paints dry pretty fast. Now remember, when you do this, every stroke you're making is a prayer for health, for healing. Healing of all people, healing of yourself and your loved ones, healing of all people on the world, and those who are close to you. Pretty dry except the orange, the last one. So let me just get that orange dry. We're going to start working with the Echo line colors. There we go. Everything's nice and dry. It dries so fast. Okay, so what we're doing is now we're taking our primary and our secondary, and we're going to look at them with regards to shadows using an acrylic, liquid paint, or an ink. And again, I'm using the Echo line. So I'm going to start right here with my yellow and my purple, all right? And I'm going to bring those two colors out, and I'll start with the purple. Now the thing about this, all right, is because I have it tilted up, I'm not going to put the color directly down. I'm going to just put it into a brush so that it doesn't drip all over the place, all right? So in taking the purple, when you put it on yellow, it creates a little bit of what's called a shadow. And I'm going to also blot that so that you can begin to see the shadow. See how it kind of, and you can water these down also so that they're even more of a wash. Then we're going to take our yellow, and we're going to put our yellow over the purple. So you see, I've got a nice little drip there. And again, this creates what's called a shadow. Purple on the yellow, yellow on the purple. They become shadowed colors. We're going to do the same thing with our blue and our orange. down below. Oh yeah, let me get that. Let me get this real quick. So I'm going to start off with orange on blue. And the more yellow or the more bright the orange is, then you might begin to see a little hint of green in it, but mostly it just puts it into a shadow. Shadow means it just darkens the color a little bit. All right, so let me put my blue on my brush. And we're going to go over the orange. Blue is always dark, so this does create a very dark shadow. It's kind of like how the yellow on the purple is a really light shadow. So this is the one combination. You do have to kind of brush it off if you want to get that shadow. We're almost done with the lesson part, and then we're going to paint. I think you're going to enjoy the paint. The last two colors are red and green. So we're going to put the green on the red. When you work with colors for shadowing, instead of like a Payne's gray or some other dark color, it blends better. It looks more unified. Okay, so here's the green on the red to create a shadow. Nice, huh? This kind of information really digs us in deeper into our color theory and our compositions becoming more unified. And I don't like to be strapped to rules when I paint. I like to just pick whatever I am drawn to, but I'm also interested in having a nice blend so that things don't look so entirely disjointed. Now I'm going to add some of that red onto the green. And remember, the darker the color is, then the lighter color won't be as dark, but it does still create a nice shadow. All right, so the last thing I want to just share with you is combining colors together. And I brought out, I'm going to use green because I think it's a perfect example. And a wonderful French art teacher of mine, Lally Mills, demonstrated this usage when we take a color like sap green, and then we work with it by adding a primary color to it, which turns it into another hue or a tint of green, which creates more of a green gold, or what's called a vert. And we work with those together. So all I'm going to do, like Lally, this is my favorite color. So I'm going to put a little bit on my brush. It's a beautiful color. It's not so good to work with as the main color because what happens is it's so light that it does begin to, it doesn't quite cover up. It's designed, it's more transparent. It's designed to go over other colors. So I just wanted you to see that really nicely. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a sap green, which is a beautiful green. It's my favorite green. And just put it down on the page, and you can see how dense it is. It's a very bold and stiff color. And I'm putting it down on the page. I'm going to actually bring it over here a little bit. And then I'm going to put vert on top of it to show you how it will change it slightly, okay? Naturally, when you let things dry, they do appear even stronger. But there you go. You can see how it's changing and how it makes a really pretty green, right? Let me pull this in so you can really see that. Let's see, which way do I go? That way. Vert, sap green, and then sap green with vert on top of it. And it's really pretty. So then you can take one of your liquid paints or an ink, and in this case, I'm just going to bring out a turquoise ink. I love turquoises. I work a lot with turquoises and teals in all of my paintings. I'm just going to put this on my brush over, and I'm going to show you how you can blend everything with an ink that's in the same color vein, because as you know, this is turquoise is still in the blue and the green family. Yellow and blue make the green, right? And so what you're doing is you're just adding more blue into that mixture, and it brings out a beautiful shade of turquoise. And so I'm just going to take it and I'm going to go over all of it to show you how it even becomes transformed. I should have let the paint dry. Let's do it this way. I'm going to actually, for just a moment, take my, and put it right on there. I'll try and show you by lifting it up so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay. And then I'm going to take that and I'm just going to and look at that, how it turns it into a really cool look. Okay, let me dab that. So now what we're going to do, now that we've looked at our primary magic, touched base with secondary colors, I'm gonna blot that so you begin to see how cool inks look over. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our leftover paints and we are going to create an abstract. Yeah? So just begin to take your paints and go over what you've already got without thought. Every stroke now is intentional creativity. You're bringing in your prayers, healing, and just take the page and make it abstract. This becomes your healing abstract. I don't normally hold the pages like this, but I'm at an awkward angle. Sorry you're seeing only the back of my head. Now, something like this in our art journals will be turned into a background. Okay, so you see how you played and experimented with colors. You can do this with any colors. And then all of a sudden you have this wonderful background. It's very intense. It's very dark right now. It's very primary, secondary, neutrals, but it becomes this intensified, intentional creativity background, so that what you ultimately will do on it will be based on the foundation of healing. So one last step we usually do in mixed media art, even in our art journals, is we are going to add one more layer to this. So I'm going to just take a moment and I'm going to take my blow dryer and I'm going to go ahead and get this semi-dry. So just, you're painting along with me, keep painting. Okay, it's probably dry enough. So, whoops. So because you know that I'm a mixed media visionary artist, and I work with lots and lots of layers, I'm not actually going to be showing you an intentional creativity process right now. I'm just going to show you as a mixed media artist what a next layer would look like. And for this, I am going to take it and just lay it down because I don't want uh, my paint to, my next layer to run all over the place. So I think you can still see it right there, and then I'll lift it up. But what we take is we take something like gesso, okay? Gesso is a fixative, it primes our pages. But in this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this beautiful background that we've created, or abstract that we've created, which you might love doing abstracts because they're very, very fun, and then there are different things that can be added. But I'm doing this primarily to show you a background, another background, when you explore different paints, because there's a lot of different paint um, compositions or mixing that you can continue to explore. But this is what your primary and your secondary paints will create when mixed together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the background and we're going to do just that. We are going to put the background into the background. So I'm using an old credit card that's no longer in use. I'm using my gesso, and I'm just going to give these pages a healthy layer of gesso, and I'm going to scratch and drag this gesso all over the page. And you can see I have more than enough here, and I just so happen to have a piece of paper. It's my mixed media paper. And so all I'm going to do now is put it underneath my journal, and whoopsie. And I'm going to take that gesso and I'm going to bring it right down onto that page. And this page will actually, this piece of paper will actually get used in another class we do. So don't worry, you're not going to waste that. So I'm going to just set it off. I'm not worried. I'll show you it. I'm not worried about some of the pigments coming off onto it. I'm going to set this aside, and we will use that in another class. Okay, so all I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take my paper towel. Here's what the gessoed pages look like, and I'm going to just blot and drag and blot. And so what I'm doing with this is I'm creating some texture in that gesso. Another thing I can do is take a paintbrush, okay, and I can trace some shapes into it, some designs. And I'm going to write the word healing on one page and healing on the next page. And so now what I have is I have what's called a mixed media background to begin to build an art journal page off of. So that is about it for today. Your primary magic class, and working with secondary colors, working with shades, and then unifying it all together into an abstract background to use all of your extra paint, and after that to take it and put a layer of gesso over it, doodle in that gesso, um, write your word intention or your intentional creativity into it, and from there put any important symbols that have come to you during your intentional creativity process, draw those right into it, and then once this all dries, you're good to go. And we will also be using this in one of our next lessons to continue to work off of. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. My heart to your heart, thank you so much for joining me for this live stream class. Please feel free to join this Facebook group, and also come over to studioinspirationartjournal.com. Become a member there, because I am going to be offering very special private get-togethers with my subscribers at the website. And last but by no means least, look for, once you go to the website, head on over to my YouTube channel. You will also find some other live stream videos there. And forthcoming next week is a new YouTube channel that I have been working on. Shiloh Sophia from Color of Woman really brought this out into a realization of doing something that I had been feeling called to do, but now with the kids out of school to create a live stream weekly class channel for children. They can't do it every day. None of us can do it every day sometimes, especially with children and their homework assignments. And these videos, these live streams at Art Kids or Kids Art with Kisma. I haven't even put one thing on it yet. Kids Art with Kisma at YouTube will begin next week, giving a weekly art class to all K through 6 students, to help teachers and moms who are all doing the home learning at this particular time when all of our schools have been canceled live and going to remote learning. So I invite you to bring your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors, your sister's kids, your friends' kids on over there. I will be posting the first weekly lesson date by the end of this weekend. And that's about it for now. Blessings, blessings, blessings. I wish you health and joy at this time in your life. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.